Nicola to come on board and chat to you all. Now, Nicola was part of Ocean Youth last year, which is very exciting. So Nicola does know Tiana, which
Yes,
is
I
a good
do.
and she's the founder of the Sea Change Network, as well as part of, is it the World Oceans Day Youth Advisory Council, Nicola?
Yes, World Oceans Day, yes.
Love when I
Awesome.
get that right. It's very exciting. So we're going to hand over to Nicola now, guys. Same thing. Any questions, if you think of them, pop them in the chat box and we'll open it up when she's finished chatting. Enjoy.
Thank you.
Take as long as you need.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Firstly, thank you so much for having me, and I'm so excited, and this is so amazing. And Lucy, wow, you've made this really hard to follow, but no, this is incredible. And I actually remember when you came last year and you were speaking to us, and again, you've just been super inspiring, and yeah, you've done that again, so thank you. Okay, so where do I start? I guess I'm Nicola, I'm 18, I'm from Melbourne. You guys are from Melbourne too, so that's cool. We're all in this together. We can do this crazy ISO thing. But I guess I wanted to talk a little bit about my background and how I became like really passionate about what I'm doing. So I grew up like a very curious kid, and I feel like a lot of us here are the same. And whether that be mucking around in gumboots in puddles and picking up really weird things that your parents would be like, what are you doing? Like, put that down, come on, like that's gross. I'm really privileged. I also did a lot of traveling separately with my parents. My parents have been separated, so when I was really little. But that gave me a really unique and incredible opportunity to go traveling with both different parents. And specifically, I remember a lot of the time with my dad, we went to incredible islands in Queensland, and I was about 4 to 7 years old, and it's crazy how vivid I can remember. But the biggest thing that impacted me to be on this journey, and I would say sculpted the way I am and the passions that I have and where I want to go, is so weird, but I was snorkeling in about a foot of water. Like, there was this tiny, like literally no water. I was really young. I was about 6 or 7, and this gorgeous green sea turtle comes up, and it was about 2 feet away from me, and it just pops its head up. I'm like, wow, this is the craziest moment ever. And I can remember it so crazy vividly. And it swam away, and I was like, oh my God, no, I have to get it. I've got these yellow snorkels and these flippers that are way too big for me. And I'm like, oh my God, I have to see it closer. So I dived in the water, and I just remember it like swimming off into some deeper water. And that was it. From then on, I knew I wanted to spend the rest of my life in the ocean, which is really strange. And a lot of people don't have that privilege to know what they want straight away. And you're not expected to know what you want to do when you're 18, when you're 16, when you're 22, when you're 24. Like, you are still so young. And I think we forget that. And I've just been blessed, I guess, with this crazy little experience that has just guided me into that. But I wanted to bring up how you can find what you're passionate for. And that's really important, because if you're not passionate about something, eventually, with whatever factors, maybe it's money, maybe it's this, maybe it's that, you're not going to feel internally satisfied. And passion for me is everything. And I know all the people I'm inspired by have a really extreme passion for what they want, and extreme passion for a certain thing. And that can be literally anything you want to do. And I'm super, I really believe in bringing up people and bringing up their strengths, and what they have strengths and skills in, and flourishing that. So with Sea Change Network, I've got my friends involved. It's very early days, but I've got my friends involved, and some of the things I could never do, I have no idea about. One of the things is, one of my friends is extremely good at writing, creative writing, and I'm trying to incorporate what she can do in what I can do, and bringing each other up and flourishing. So don't be afraid to connect with other people, especially if you think like, oh, I don't really know how they can help me. I don't really know how I can help them. Make sure you reach out. In terms of finding your passion, if you're not a fan of reading, that's okay. I mean, I love reading, but I am so busy. So I don't always get the time to read, but even if it's watching YouTube videos of people diving, I'm really inspired by this lady called Kimmy Wern. Kimmy Swimmy is her Instagram name, and she's a free diver, and she's incredible, and just watching her videos is just like so inspiring for me, and like, wow, I really wish I could do that. Maybe it's going to conferences, maybe it's listening to older people talk about these things that they're doing in the world, whether that be like the circular economy or all these other crazy things that you might have no idea about. Even if it's just learning and opening up those doors is a really good way to find your passion and help you with this Ocean Youth project. Lucy was saying, like Peter was saying, and Tiana was saying, it doesn't have to be huge. Finding what you would like to do, whether that be, one of the comments was whether that be supporting ocean businesses. If you are really artistic, or if you love baking, like the ISO that we're in, we're always learning new things. If you love doing that, you can find ways that people can engage with that. Maybe it's your family or your friends or your family friends that we're like, oh yeah, I'd love to support you, and in turn supporting the businesses around you, those ocean businesses. Yeah, I guess that kind of brings me on to the next point. How did I get my idea started? I'm a little bit like Lucy as well. I love everything, and I can't choose a specific thing. I find it really difficult to choose that one thing, because I know how important everything is, and everything is so connected. So how can you possibly choose one thing? But I am super, super passionate about the ocean. I am completely obsessed, and I know that's where my strength mostly lies. And like I said, I never want to be stuck in an office. I'm sorry, but like, if that's what you want to do, that's perfect, and you do that. But I couldn't do that. I know I would just deteriorate. So the ideas I sort of came up with at first, I'm really passionate about climate change, and it's very fearful, obviously, and finding ways to help with that. Like, how are we supposed to combat this giant thing when governments aren't listening to us, and this and that. And I was like, okay, maybe legislation is where I want to go. Maybe I want to tackle legislation, get signatures, this and that. And I was like, okay, yes, I could do that, but I don't know where to begin with that. So I wrote down, and this is really hard, and I think we forget, but ideas don't always come to us like that. We have to sit down with ourselves, sometimes force ourselves, even if it's just for 20 minutes, 10 minutes, 5 minutes. Sit down, okay, what am I passionate about? What do I like? What would I love to do? What other inspirations have I got from other people? Write that down and be like, okay, and maybe do like a brainstorm and branch off, like, oh, that's a really cool idea. Where can I get involved in that? So I looked at legislation, climate change, I looked at the ocean, and I also looked at education, because last year, I was in year 12 last year. I'm in university. Well, you could say university. I'm online university. That's fine. I was co-captain of the social justice and environment group in my school last year. And I don't like saying co-captain, because it's not really, I don't like the word captaincy, because it's kind of like you're above everybody else. And I don't truly believe in that. I think leadership is about getting everybody together and making it work with their strengths. And again, that's something I truly, truly believe in, and bringing other people up with you. I think the quote's each one teach one, and I love that so much, because you can't do this alone. As much as you think you can, there gets to a point where you have to get other people involved, and that's exactly what this world needs. So yeah, I was co-captain of this social justice and environment group, and I thrived in that environment. It was every Tuesday at lunchtime, we would sit down and we would discuss ideas like, what do we want to do? We did a clothes swap with our school because we're super passionate about fashion, and I went to an all-girls school, and you can imagine fashion is one of the big things in an all-girls school, and even for guys as well, you know, teenagers especially, we're all in our fashion and style and learning our style and this and that. I know you're laughing, but it's true. And we're like, okay, fast fashion is a big issue, and it would be incredible to involve our community, our school community, in learning about that, because to be honest, sometimes you have to start from the start. You have to understand that not everybody is on the same wavelength as you, and you guys are incredible already. You guys are incredible for putting your hand up and being a part of this organization, and whether you feel it or believe it or not, but you are doing incredible things, and just being here is just like, that is the first step. So well done. I congratulate you all, and you're all amazing. Yeah, so that's it. You have to start from the start and maybe figure out the other people around you, what they need and what you need and what you think your community is lacking. And I thought my community was lacking education in fast fashion. So we decided to start a school clothes swap and do some PowerPoint slides in a really beautiful room, and it was a really great success. We actually did 2 of them. But bringing that back to my Ocean Youth idea, I thought I'm really passionate about education and youth empowerment and listening to other people and engaging their thoughts and building this network of young people, because that's what made me feel inspired. That's what made me feel more curious. And because you sometimes, well, most of the time, you don't have all the ideas. You don't. And you have to be honest with yourself and sit down and listen, like what Lucy was saying, engage yourself with other people and other network systems, and learn about other people and engage in those skills that they have that maybe you haven't thought about first. So bringing it back to the Pitch Fest and Ocean Youth, and I really wanted to take this opportunity Ocean Youth gave me, and I really wanted to do something huge with it, because I knew that's what I wanted to do. This is what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. And that's, I'm not saying you have to do that, you have to be that way. That's not what I'm saying at all. You take it at whatever length you feel and whatever length you want to in the stages that you're at. But I felt school was very stressful for me last year, and this is my outlet. This is what I wanted to put my energy into, and sometimes it was more than just my free time. Sometimes it was also my study time, but I really enjoyed it. And so I wrote down a list of ideas, and they changed heaps. And I thought, okay, maybe I could support other businesses, and maybe I could support legislation. And I came up with an idea that I wanted to do a bit of both. So a bit like Lucy, I wanted to do a bit of both. And I wanted to start an organization where I would support other businesses, other organizations, to gain that global, I guess you could say power, but I don't know if that's really the right word, that global entity, and try and figure out ways to push for legislation, specifically in Australia, oceans in Australia. The Great Australian Bight, the Adani coal mine, they were the couple of things that I grew up knowing and was really distraught about, basically. So I wanted to do something about that, and I didn't have the power to do that by myself. So I thought, okay, how about we piggyback and get these other businesses together and organizations together to create some momentum like that. As well as bring in my own thing, which was the education part of it, which I was really passionate about. So I really want to build a group of youth, because youth are really incredible and we have incredible ways to engage with each other, and we understand each other better than adults do. Sorry, but we do. And I thought, how about we start this youth-led thing where we bring programs into schools to start their own social justice and environment group, or I haven't figured out the name yet, but to bring that in so they can ignite their ideas, just like Ocean Youth, but in schools. So yeah, that was my idea, and it's very early stages again with the website thing. Oh my God, that is a killer. It is so hard to build, but you'll get there. So I'm very much early stages of this whole thing, and ideas will develop and they'll come and go. So yeah, just trust your gut, I guess, and try and find inspiration from things and draw from things. And yeah, I guess that's what I wanted to say about that.
Amazing. Amazing, Nicola. And I know you guys are probably sitting there going, what? I don't know what's going on. So Nicola finished Ocean Youth last year and is now at the early stages of where Lucy's probably 2 years ahead of where Nicola is at the moment. So we're going through that process with Nicola of how she's thinking about doing it while juggling going to uni. And what are you doing at uni, Nicola?
I'm so grateful, but I got into my dream course of doing marine science only a couple months ago. So yeah, I'm studying marine science in Geelong.
In July. Yeah, in
For
Geelong.
now.
How exciting. And
Yeah.
that's going to hopefully start your journey even further, you know, meeting again networks. And that's one
Yeah.
thing we haven't mentioned is when you do go to uni and you do start, you know, pursuing a career and what you want to do, again, you find a whole different network of people that are like-minded like you. And I still, you know, some of my best friends today are from my zoology degree and are working as vet nurses in industry at Zoos Victoria, you know, up at Exmouth in Ningaloo Reef. Like,
Wow.
and these are contacts you keep forever. And that's what Nicola is saying. It's just starting this whole, I guess, process of making that, you know, happen a little bit earlier for people in schools instead of happening when you get to uni, and same with Lucy as well. So it's amazing what you've been able to achieve from what was, like you said, a hard idea to come up to, but something you were willing to throw everything into. And what else has come from it, Nicola? Tell us what other things you have been doing since Ocean Youth.
Wow, Ocean Youth has really opened so many doors for me. Yeah, this is so crazy. It's really been short. It's really been just the couple of years that this is really ignited. But I'm a part of the World Oceans Day Youth Advisory Council, which is like just so incredible. Again, like I said, uniting with other like-minded people is where I draw so much passion and energy from. So being with these other people that are global and have so many different perspectives, and they grow up in different ways and different communities, it's just so great. Yeah, so World Oceans Day, I've done a few things for the Marine Stewardship Council with you. You guys are partners with the Marine Stewardship Council, I think. Yeah, they're crazy as well. So they're all about supporting sustainable seafood. I'm not sure if you've seen them, but like on John West tuna and on some other seafood, they've got that little blue fish tick, which is all about supporting sustainably caught seafood, which is awesome. What else? So random. Like I said, Ocean Youth has opened so many doors for me. On a recent sort of call we had little while ago. It was about with Claudette. It was, I don't know how to explain it, but it was on a call like this.
Yes.
A lady contacted me through that, and she was a part of the Sustainable Development Goals Academy of Pakistan. And I was like, oh, this sounds really interesting. And I was like a little bit suspicious at first. I was like, oh, I don't know about this. But yeah, that is incredible. And she's doing so many incredible things for Pakistan on the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. And I've been involved with that. And yeah, it's just so crazy, and I'm so grateful for every opportunity. And again, I just want to share that with others. So my connections are not my connections; they're everybody around me's connections. And I've also got a podcast series that I've started, and that is the best thing ever. It's been so fun learning and drawing inspiration on people and how they started their own businesses, specifically in fashion. So you can check that out if you want.
Yes, please.
Put
Put the link in.
Yeah, I will. But yeah, like I said, if any of you feel like you want to ask me questions or get a few connections, I'm happy to send that to Peter and Tiana. And yeah.
It's
Yeah,
amazing what can happen. Right place, right time. Like Lucy said, having your voice as well. People get drawn to you. And like Nicola said, she got reached out by that lady from Pakistan on one of our Ocean Youth webinars that were earlier in the year. Do you remember the ones Claudette ran when it was everyone globally? That literally came out of that. So it's just showing how important this network can be. And as Nicola said, and same for Tiana and myself and Lucy, our contacts are not just our contacts. I think that's a fantastic way of putting it. They're your contacts as well. And Ocean Youth is the start of that pathway, the start of that journey to get those contacts. Now, Tiana, we have a question for Nicola.
So Mia's got a really good one that's based off her own personal experience. What would your advice be for trying to educate people who don't care? Mia's really passionate about educating people, mostly about plastic, but she thinks her school doesn't really care, or the people in her school don't really care. So she said her school grounds are always littered, there's rubbish everywhere. The school's tried to enforce things to make people stop, but they're just not stopping. So she really wants to know, did you have any troubles with people who aren't willing to change, and how do you get around that?
Oh, for sure. And that's like such a huge barrier because you feel so motivated to do things, and then you see other people just like completely oblivious, and you're like, come on, guys, you know. Yeah, no, incredible question. And I faced that. Unfortunately, my school was not as accepting or as willing to participate in things like Melbourne Girls College, like that. But I guess there's kind of two ways to this. Well, you can obviously enforce fines, but I don't think you're really going to do that in schools. But I think it's a lack of value. People don't value it. People don't see what the effect is for them. And unfortunately, like, that's just something we have to face. Not everyone's going to feel like, oh, if I don't pick this up, like, you know, this is going to go into the ocean. It's going to affect my marine life. That's going to affect us in the long run. So I guess the best advice I can give you, and I know this has worked because it's worked for me, is just to I guess go out there and just do it yourself. Be the change in terms of not talking and not explaining, because most of the time people aren't going to be extremely passionate like you. But if you go out there and you're like, no, I'm going to spend my lunchtime picking up this rubbish, people will see that. Maybe they'll mock you. They'll be like, oh, what are you doing? But in the long term, I know this has happened because it's happened for me. People grab onto that. They'll ask you questions like, why are you doing this? Can we help you? Like, I'd like to help you, this and that. So I completely understand you, Mia. And yeah, it's very frustrating, but lead by example is probably the best advice I've got for that. Yeah.
I love that. And we actually, way back in our pretty much first webinar, guys, do you remember we heard from Steve and Riley Hathaway? And Steve Hathaway said, you don't have to get a 0 person to a 10. You just have to get a person who's at 0 to 1 and a person who has at 3 to 4. Just getting them to think conservationally minded or sustainably minded a little bit, whether it's like Nicola said, you know, everyone was into fashion and thinking about, you know, recyclable fashion, sustainable fashion, circular economy as well. I mean, I pretty much only shop at op shops. This jumper I bought yesterday for $5 from the op shop, because I try not to buy new, or I try and buy from places like Two in the Sun that we heard from last week, places that are trying to have less of an you know, a footprint out there. So just those small changes and trying to find someone's interest, or trying to get someone interested in what you're doing. Like you said, Nicola, if you're walking around picking up rubbish, someone will ask you what you're doing.
Yeah.
So it's a great way. Yeah, exactly. And you guys are doing it straight away. You're the youth of this society, and you guys are straight away getting the rest of our young people to look around and go, if they can do it, I can do it. And that's the whole point of Ocean Youth out there, is seeing what others are doing and hoping that we can support them somehow throughout their process. So thank you, Nicola, for your time. And I know that voice, we are going to hear a lot more of it in the future. Every webinar I jump on, I'm like, Nicola's here. And she's with amazing, inspirational people talking about your passion for the ocean. And if that's all you have, that's enough. And we all have it sitting here today, and we can do a lot with it. So thank you for your time this morning, Nicola.
Thank you so much.
For your time this morning, Lucy. We will let you guys head off, and I'll email you guys after and have a little chat. Send me through any links you think we might like your podcast as well, Nicola, and Luce, resend those links that you sent in the chat if you get a chance. We'll let you guys go. Thank you so much. And we'll keep everyone else on to do some project work for about 20 minutes.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Have a great day, guys. Bye. Thank you.
See ya.
Have a little break. Have a stretch if you need to. We'll be on at 11:15. It's 11:13. So you have 2 minutes to...
And we won't be too long, guys. Don't worry. We're just going to support you. Oh, I'm having a stretch.
Projects, what the next steps of Ocean Youth are from here.
Now, I should mention boys in the group. Yes, I got 2 girls in, but we did have many boys doing amazing things as well, especially last year. We're going to talk about one of them in the next little session as well. But literally only a week ago, I don't know if I mentioned to you guys, one of my Ocean Youth blokes from a couple of years ago just applied for a job at the aquarium. Looks like he's going to get it purely because of his background at Ocean Youth. He could put it on his resume and it looked, you know, he's already been associated with the aquarium. So it goes to show, you know, there's so many things. Another guy started up bamboo straws. He was in my first year of Ocean Youth alumni. After he finished his uni degree, he started a bamboo straw company. So there's, so many opportunities. Don't think we're just here for the girls either, I promise. There's many, many passionate men, and you guys will remember Leo, our shark expert we spoke to from the AMCS. Yeah, exactly. Steve Hathaway, all of these amazing people that are working in industry. And down here where I'm on Phillip Island, most of our land care network, Phillip Island Nature Park, the rangers especially, all guys and all just as passionate as the girls, maybe not as jewelry focused or as, you know, sustainably fashion focused, but still doing their part. And it's just an amazing community to be a part of. I would love to work at the aquarium. Tess, it is good fun. Tiana and I'd probably say we'd love to work at the aquarium as well right about now, but that's okay. One day when it all starts back up, you guys can start applying for jobs. And Mia, how exciting. You might one day be the education officers at Sea Life Melbourne Aquarium, or the aquarist.
Doing well, our old jobs, I should say.
Yeah, our old roles. They're good fun. And it's like, this is where we got all our connections. Is people will work somewhere, they don't tend to work there forever. They go on to bigger and better things, and you keep those connections.
Yeah.
I applied this year, turns out I had to be 18.
That's right, Taryn. But they do know you, they know your name. So because you did your work experience and your Ocean Youth, they definitely know your name. They're keeping an eye out, and I'm sure the rest of you as well, they definitely keep an eye out for names that say that they did Ocean Youth in their resume. So
exactly. Guys, let us know if you're back. I know Taryn's here and Elliot's here. I can see them. I'm guessing that Tess and Mia are there because they just wrote. Is everyone else here? Oh,
Minu, Kaylin,
perfect. There we go.
There we go.
It was amazing. It was good
Yeah.
fun, isn't it? Perfect. All right, everyone's here. Tiana.
If any of you are doing year 10 next year, obviously it does depend on how everything looks for the future. But as Taryn said, work experience is great. You don't just do one role, like you work with the aquarist, you work in retail, you work in marketing, you work in events, you get to do pretty much everything the aquarium does. So even if you're not directly looking for a keeper role kind of thing, it does give you that experience. So there's always that to look forward to.
And you work with PR and marketing as well, which can be another side, and definitely one side that I'm still trying to grow in my career. So yeah, it definitely gets you those stepping stones. So guys, we're going to spend the next, I'm going to say 20 minutes because we don't want to hold you too long today, talking about projects and trying to, I guess, like I said to Lucy, these are not big, scary things. We've introduced you to the top notch of the industry in the last few weeks. We've introduced you to, you know, jewelry companies that have worked, and we've introduced you to dog collars that have gone ahead. But plenty of ideas that we have seen have gone no further than Ocean Youth, but they're amazing ideas, and it gives you a chance to work through creating a project from start to finish. And that's the idea behind Ocean Youth. You guys don't have to save the world with this project, and it doesn't have to be implemented. You never have to look at it again if you don't want to, but it's going to give you the chance and the opportunity to build skills that you might need later in life in this industry. So Tiana's going to share a screen with us all, and we're going to go through sort of, I guess, how Tiana and I would go about building a project. And we heard a bit about this from Nick last week at Ocean Impact Org. Now I know Nick was sounding a bit tired at that point, and you may have zoned out a little bit last week. So we're going to do it a bit louder and a bit bubblier. T, do you want to tell everyone why you zoned out last week with Nick? Was it because you were getting something arrive at your house?
Yeah, new puppy. So pretty good reason to zone out, right? Yeah.
She got a message in the middle of our Ocean Youth 2 weeks ago saying she was getting a puppy, and I was like, why is Tiana not paying attention? Now we all know.
Fully focused on you though. That wasn't our webinar, so we're good.
No, it wasn't our webinar, so that's fine. So project ideation, guys, and I'll get Tiana to chat through the first slide in a second. Pretty much this is the process, and we can send you these slides, right? Yes, this is the process that we would use if we were going to build a project, and Nicola and Lucy touched on it. And of course, if you're totally stuck, we're here to help. We'll go through that at the end. But here's how we would go about it if we were to start producing a little idea.
Yeah, so first of all, what is the point of these projects? I'm sure you're wondering, why do we have to do a project? What's the point?
We have school.
So basically, the point of the project is for you to think about what changes you personally can make. You don't have to think big like Nicola and Lucy doing a whole network system. It can be something small or big, but it's something that you personally have a passion for. As Nicola said, you do need a passion for whatever focus. So if you're more into litter, don't focus on climate change, for example. Focus on what you want to focus on. If you want, it's to make a difference for ocean conservation. So it does depend on how far you want to take this project. As Pete said, you don't have to take it far, but it is about making a difference. Even if you're not taking the project further, think of something that can make a difference. It's a cause for action, for change, or even to make people think. We also want you to develop some skills. Obviously, we haven't really had as much of a chance to do our skills workshops throughout the year as we had originally planned before all this happened. But the pitch, the project does help with a lot of those skills that we want to do. So things like public speaking, things like computer skills, problem solving, presentations. I did this presentation in like an hour last night with all the fancy stuff. It's really easy.
Show off.
It is though. It does it all for you. I promise. I like hardly had to do anything myself except type the words. So planning skills, the stages of planning your project if it is a larger project, and also networking, which you've been doing a lot of in these webinars anyway at this point.
Now, if you guys go back through those emails I've sent out that wrap up the people who have spoken to us, you'll see in those emails that I put a spot called What's Next under each heading. And that was sort of when people would speak about holes, I guess, places they could see opportunity in industry. For example, when we spoke to Steph at Anipel, she said how there was no recycled plastic material production here in Australia. So I've just put some ideas there, and even just then we heard a couple from Lucy, you know, and then the amazing one that Caitlin came up with saying, well, maybe you just want to get your school to get environmental science into the curriculum. These are opportunities for change and get thoughts in other people's heads. So how do I get started? And we'll get onto that question I just saw in the chat box in a second. Step one, think of your what. So that is talking about what marine environmental issue you want to change. So we heard Lucy and Nicola say, obviously, they want to change everything and they were overwhelmed. And there was so much going on. And through their networks, they now can because they've got so many minds working together. But as Tiana said, if you just want to focus on a turtle not eating a plastic bag, or you just want to focus on recycled fashion, you know, getting people to reuse and turn over that so that we're not creating, you know, tons and tons of fashion waste here in Australia. Think about that. If it's climate change, if it's runoff from the farming and agricultural industry, if it's something to do with the shark nets. I mean, you guys probably saw on the news that poor man that died the other day on a beach that has shark nets. So it's obviously not working, the system that we have in place now. Perhaps you want to change the legislation and try and do something with drones, or advocate for someone who's doing the work differently. These are what you need to think about. What's the main thing you want to help change? Do you want to educate kinder kids? I don't know. Anything you want to do, whether it's within your school, within your community, or within the big picture, is totally up to you. It might just be in your household. You want to set up an amazing bin system that pays you 20 cents every time you put a can in it. I don't know, something along those lines. Think about the issue first and foremost. Do I want to work with pollution? Do I want to work with fast fashion? Do I want to work with agricultural runoff, shark overfishing? You know, do sustainable seafood. Examples, obviously, T's written them there: marine litter, overfishing, ocean acidification. We spoke to Wing Chan earlier in the year about her work. It's a big one, but you might think, if any of you went back and watched Craig Russo's Planet A, you would have seen that the schools can introduce a system now where they can go around and audit their electricity use and their greenhouse gas emissions. Maybe you want to introduce that into your school. You might be able to look into that. Now, with that, be more specific. You've got your idea. Maybe it is marine litter or plastic pollution. So I want people to stop throwing their rubbish in the sea when they're at the beach. How do I fix that? Is it putting in bins? Is it reducing the rubbish in the first place? Is it trying to get people to do more beach cleans? So then you get more specific. You know, I want people to use designated bins at the beach. We had someone last year who went to their local council and advocated to get bins put in around the dam at their hometown. They didn't have an ocean. They didn't have a river. They just had a dam, and then they wanted those bins to be made out of, what was it, T? Was it recycled shoes?
The fishing lines, was it?
I don't know, but whatever it was a recycling project on top of getting bins in places that they were needed because it was killing those local freshwater fish that were in that dam. So you don't have to be near the ocean to make a change either, guys. All right, T, what was the question in the chat before we move on to step 2? Let me have a think. What were you guys talking about in here?
I can't see that, so if you...
Elliot, I really know what I would like to do, but I'm not sure if it's important and where to start and how I would do it. Same here with Minu and Mia and Tessa and Kaylin. Cool. It's good that you guys have an idea. Hopefully this will help, and hopefully this will help people who don't even have an idea yet. All right, T.
Beautiful. So step 2, now you've got your what's the issue you want to focus on. Think about your why. Why do you want to change it? Or why is this issue affecting our ocean? How is it affecting our ocean? So this is what Nicola was talking about. This is your passion. This is the reason for what you're doing, because without the passion, there's no point doing it. So examples from beforehand with the marine litter. Why do we want people to stop chucking litter into the ocean? Because we don't want fish ingesting the plastic because they get sick, or we don't want the chemicals in the plastic messing with their hormones and therefore reducing fish populations, which one of our guest speakers was talking about previously. Or it could be as simple as you don't want to swim in an ocean full of litter. Your reasons don't have to be based on 100% conservation. It can be a little personal. It can be something like you want your children to experience the Great Barrier Reef that you experienced. It can be any reason, just a reason you're passionate about it, your drive, pretty much.
Mm-hmm. Love that. And we have an area down here on Phillip Island, guys. It's a mangrove area. It's not even, tidal really. It's just a bit wet. And we had the local land care group implement just rubbish signage, put your rubbish in the bin throughout that mangrove area because it'd been forgotten. People would go for walks, they just drop it in. So it could be as small as, communicating and educating the public, perhaps writing to your council, seeing if you can get a reply about trying to do that sort of thing. And then for your pitch, putting down the steps you've taken, showing us in photos and a PowerPoint how you went about doing all of that. That's, small scale and amazing. So step 3, after we've done our what and our why, we're doing our how. So what are we trying to implement? Why are we trying to do that? Do we want to save a seahorse? Do we want to not see a dead seagull? Do we want a nice clean ocean? And then how are we going to make that happen? So you might go through social media, like Lucy just said. You can do social media campaigns. They have a lot of push. And we have spoken about our brand being a social media campaign in itself. You as a person can be your social media campaign. You taking photos of yourself picking up 3 for the sea for, every day for 6 months is a social media campaign. There was a girl who wore the same outfit or the same 12 pieces of clothing for an entire year to show that you can, survive without buying, fast fashion all the time and keeping your footprint really low. A petition, that might be within your school, it could be within your family, it could be within your community to try and bring something in or stop something, whether that is shark nets or it is trying to get signage somewhere or a bin put in on your jetty to remove, fishing line that hasn't been put anywhere. It could be something as small as that, or it could be something as big as trying to petition for legislation change. I know down here, you guys probably have seen how they wanted to build the AGL gas situation in Western Port. And they got the largest amount of signatures ever for an environmental campaign to stop that last week, over 10,000 signatures. It hasn't stopped it, but it slowed the process down. People are now asking questions. They're having to think about ways they can do it even better so that we don't harm, the penguins, all of the animals in Western Port Bay. You might do a documentary or an educational video. We had a really, really shy kid last year, beautiful bloke, Liam. And Liam did not want to talk in front of people. And you guys don't have to do, we're behind a screen this year. But last year we were in the amphitheatre at Sea Life Melbourne Aquarium. So he filmed himself, he filmed a video he wanted to send out to schools that gave them a bit of background on why we want to save the ocean. It was almost like a David Attenborough documentary, and it was just his voice over these pictures that would really influence change. He didn't have to stand up in front of anyone. He didn't have to write a PowerPoint presentation. He just showed us that video and we asked him a couple of questions about why he wanted to do it. And it was really moving actually, Tiana, wasn't it?
Yeah, his voice, it was just so impactful. And even though he didn't stand up and do a presentation, that's one of the projects that has stuck in our heads.
Mm-hmm. And it was really easy for him to find the technology to do that because we've all got, all of these abilities through our phones. Even if you do it on Instagram and save it, or you do it through Vimeo, there's so many options. You might do a product, and obviously that's probably in your heads right now, guys. I didn't mean to do it this way, but the last 2 sessions or 3 sessions we've had have been really product placement-y with Adapal and 2 in the Sun, and we're supposed to have Team Timbuktu. All of these things that people have been able to take their passion for sustainability and produce something they love, where the money either goes towards, you know, helping a certain company, a certain business, a certain charity, or what they're actually doing is removing waste and recycled products, you know, recycling marine debris to begin with. You might think of something. Last year, one of our girls wanted to make dream catchers using recycled fishing line, and it was really cool. And you know what? It doesn't have to take off. Don't think of it long term. I mean, in lockdown, you guys, I've started making cookies. I've been painting pots. I knitted, like all these things. I never went on with any of them, but it's something that I was passionate about in the background, was, you know, creating something that people would enjoy. And maybe that's all this comes from, is creating something that will help the ocean. You might do a fundraiser. Nicola spoke about doing the clothes swap at her school. I know it's really hard at the moment because we're not at school, but we will be by the time November, December comes around. So you may think of maybe reaching out to companies on Instagram or companies in your area that do eco-friendly products, and getting them to donate for an auction where you put that money towards a charity organization, maybe. And artwork, we're going to show you towards the end how you can use artwork to raise awareness. We had some pretty good ones last year, and I've had a few really amazing ones in the past. You might do a cleanup event. You may want to contact Tangaroa Blue and say, can we do a cleanup event in conjunction with you at Morty Alec Pier? That goes hand in hand with World Something Day that's coming up. You know, we just had Threatened Species Day. That bake-off for Threatened Species Day is taken off amazingly, and thousands of people are baking and raising awareness for endangered species because someone came up with the idea to bake to save a threatened species. Like, and none of, you know, money goes towards it, but mainly it raises awareness. Like, it's just such a weird concept. And then Tiana's decided you may want to do a music video. You know, if you're up to that, if you're good at writing lyrics, maybe there is room for a song. I mean, what's that shark, Baby Shark, has done wonders for tourism to Melbourne Aquarium. And even if that has not saved sharks in the long haul, it's brought people in so that they can take in the message of why sharks need saving. And that's from that one really, really frustrating, annoying song. So if you have a touch of skills in music or video or movie making, maybe you want to do something along those lines that brings awareness to our ocean, perhaps.
Just putting it out there, every year I suggest music videos, still haven't got one yet. So
she's hoping, and I refuse to do it. But if it's got a dance routine, that stuff, look at TikTok, that stuff goes viral. And again, maybe you are good on TikTok and things like that. Maybe that's what you want to do. Maybe you want to do a campaign. What's the kids? What are those kids that go? Come on, you guys know these. The turtle kids, would they have their hydro flasks and their scrunchies?
Oh, the scrunchy girls.
What are they called?
I'm sure.
Oh, come on. One of you guys know these girls. Visco girls. Thank you, Mia. The Visco girls. That went viral, and literally for a year, every time we had like year 9 students come to the aquarium, they'd be like, Miss, are you a Visco girl? And I'm like, what is this? And they'd all start tisking at me because they do it in the movie. But that went viral, and people bought hydro flasks. People wanted to save turtles, all from these girls that started this viral campaign. So yeah, it doesn't have to be that big, but if you want it to be, why not, if you're creative enough? Have we got these questions? Let's not bring up the horror of going back to Taryn. The horror of going back to school, great. All right, perfect. Move on, T.
So basically the point is the options are endless. If you have a different idea that's not on the list, go with it. Like you can do anything for your project, really.
Maybe you want to sew pillowcases with a cute turtle on the front and sell them, and 10% of your profits go to, I don't know, bamboo straws. Like, if you want to do that, if that's where you, like Nicola said, find your passions, find your skills, put them hand in hand, see what you come up with. Or if you want to be like me and try something completely new, try it. And there's no harm in putting it out there if you see a need for it and you can see how it can help support our oceans.
So what do I do now? So this is of your projects. So pretty much get brainstorming and researching. As Nicola said, your ideas don't just pop out of thin air. You might have been thinking about this for a while. You still might not be 100% on what you're going to do. It doesn't happen overnight. We're not expecting you to type in the chat right now what your project ideas are. It can take a little while, but it all starts with just an idea, something tiny, any kind of suggestion, and then you can build upon that. So look further into your what, your why, and your how. That's the main steps in getting this project off the ground. And a suggestion for that is maybe you could find areas that need improvement in marine conservation, as Peter was saying earlier. When we spoke to many of our guest speakers, they were pointing out gaps in products in the industry, or gaps in campaigns, or things like that. So have a look into that, see if there is a gap in the market that you could squeeze into, or you don't have to. You can do something that's already been done, but in your own way as well. So you don't have to do something completely new either. Start developing ideas and putting them into action. So Nicola was saying earlier, write your list, or was it Lucy saying?
Lucy.
Yeah, do an email and then follow up the email, and then talk to this person, talk to that person. Put them into action. Write down a list on how you're going to start tackling your project. Another thing we wanted to mention, we know some of you know each other outside of Ocean Youth. We know some of you have made friends through Ocean Youth. If you do want to work with someone else, you're welcome to. You can do group or partner projects, or do them yourself, whatever you really want to do. We're not telling you you have to create this giant project by yourself. You can do a little one with a friend, whatever you want.
And if anyone does want to work with, I guess, you know how Team Timbuktu make exercise clothes out of fabric that's made out of recycled plastic bottles, you can reach out to places like Parley, P-A-R-L-E-Y. They're pretty much the Australian importer for that. So when you see Billabong has released new board shorts made out of recycled plastic, they're Parley's material taken by the graphic designers at Billabong and turned into board shorts. So you might want to just be a voice for Parley at your school. Maybe you want to reach out to them. So your steps might be email Parley. If I haven't heard, email them again. If I haven't heard, reach out to this other company. And, you know, that's all we need to see. And you don't have to be an ambassador for anything. You can just support other people doing amazing things as well. If you want to make a product and give them money, or if you just want to, you know, creative drawing and auction it off, anything like that is amazing. But of course, we are loving the bigger the better. And this is where Nicola started, and Lucy. Their projects were seen from Ocean Youth, picked up, and they were then supported to go further on. And we also had Tulsi last year, who created drink bottles out of coconut husk. She never made it, but she showed us what she would have done to make it. And so she reached out to Hydro Flask to create the water bottle. She'd done research into how coconut husk can be used to create a filter in your water bottle. And then she'd gone, all right, I also want to make it in this third world country. Could I put all of the money I make back into the people working into it and create a job market for them in this country? She never did it, but she just showed us all the research she had and the companies she'd reached out to that may have helped her to do that. And this actually helped her get into an international school she wanted to do year 12 in. So yeah, there are big projects, and we are all for that. If you want to start a YouTube channel, Taryn, that's going to have 5 million followers, we're all for that. If you just want to do a one-off movie for your class at school that tells them, you know, straws are bad, you can do that as well. Yeah, you just let us know, and we're here to help. So what about Pitch Fest? What is Pitch Fest? What are we talking about? What is going on? So write this date down, but we are going to send this out to you guys. Pitch Fest this year is going to
be October.
It's going to be Friday, October 30th, the day before Halloween, everyone, because Tiana wanted Halloween free so she could dress up. So the 30th of October, we are going to come onto Zoom and do a virtual Pitch Fest, because we cannot be face-to-face yet by then. But don't worry, we will get our fun face-to-face things happening as soon as all this is over. But Pitch Fest, 30th of October, 5:30, we're going to get you guys to jump on so that we can check that it's all working. 6 o'clock is when it is actually going to start, and you are going to be able to invite family and friends. We have a maximum of 100 people able to come onto this Zoom call. So if you want to invite your parents, your sister, your brother, your cousin, your best mate, whoever you want to watch these amazing pictures, not just yours, but everybody, you're welcome to invite them on, and we will send out more info about that later. But at Pitch Fest, this is when you're going to present your ideas, your projects, what you've been doing in any format you want. If it's a video, if it's a PowerPoint, if it's just you talking like I am now, sorry. You can do it that way. So there will be more info coming. You do have, what do we have it on the next slide? How long do we want them to go for, Tiana?
Yeah, it's somewhere further.
Yeah, all right. So with our pictures, we're going to have them for a maximum of 10 minutes. If you go for 3, that's fine. If you go for 10 and a half, that's fine. Just don't go for 35 minutes, or we'll be here till like 10 p.m. That's all, even though we want to hear your amazing ideas. So welcome to Invite Family and Friends. It's going to be the 30th of October on Zoom, and we will send you a proper invite for that. Next slide.
What we need from you for your Pitch Fest. So this is what we want you to present, what we want you to show, your what, why, and how. So what we went over before, even if that's mostly what your presentation is, and you haven't actually formulated a product, you've just, as Peter said, like Tulsi last year, she just showed us her what, why, and how she would do that. So your project is your how, essentially. You don't have to have it fully complete, as we just said. It could be short term, just for Ocean Youth. It could be long term, or it could be ongoing, like Lucy and like Nicola's projects. That's ongoing. That's going to continue on. If you wanted to do something for a year, for example, that's fine. Maybe, Taryn, you want to do a monthly series on YouTube or something like that. Or even if you just want to do it for the night of Ocean Youth Pitch Fest, that is absolutely fine as well. We're not asking you to reinvent the wheel here. We're just asking you to do whatever you are comfortable on, and for however long you want to work on it. It could still be in the planning stages, like Tulsi's coconutty bottle. That's okay. We're not fussed. We do want you to present facts to back up the issues, not a slideshow full of facts. But if you're saying, hey, plastic hurts sea turtles, tell us how many sea turtles are observed every year with plastic inside them. Tell us how many seals have been monitored with plastic fishing line around their necks. So give us a couple of facts so we know that what you're telling us is true. But also to show that you have looked into this issue as well.
With that, T, sorry to interrupt, we always say at the zoo, if you've got an amazing like project idea, and this is pretty much a pitch fest, so imagine you are coming to a company going, I have this amazing idea, I want to put it in action. The first thing they're going to ask you is why? Why do you need to do this? So that's why you're backing it up with your facts. Why do I need to give you money for bamboo straws? What's wrong with plastic straws? Well, this is what they're doing. Yeah? Sorry, keep going, T.
No, perfect. And any potential partners that you'd like to work with, for example, Tulsi looking at Hydro Flask to work with. If there's any of our past Ocean Youth guests that you think that you might want to work in conjunction with, you can always note that down as well. So your next steps is what you plan to do after Pitch Fest if you want to continue. So that's if you want to do a longer term project. Tell us what you plan to do after Pitch Fest. Tell us if you still plan on contacting a certain person, or tell us if you still need to source a certain material because you don't know where to source that. That's fine if you have gaps in your project. So just let us know. We're not going to say, oh, your project's not completed because you don't know where to source sustainable seafood for your cook up. It's just to show us that you have thought about it. You just need further research for it.
I remember with Kaitiaki, guys, this is what they did last year. I remember they showed us their movie, the guys from New Zealand. That was their pitch. Their pitch was that movie that we watched where they were like, why are you doing Ocean Youth? Where's your passion line? They interviewed each other and then they showed that they were going to produce that bottle in conjunction with who I don't remember who they worked with, a New Zealand company that produces sustainable bottles. And they contacted them. They got a price list. They'd seen how much they could make off it and how much they could then donate to Blue Planet or Blue, who was it? Blue Ocean or whatever it was. You could do that and you could show us. You might not have got the water bottle made, or you might have, and you may want to sell them. How epically cool is that? I'm sure people in your school would buy a $25 water bottle with $5 of each proceeds going to whoever you want to support. So that was Kaitiaki's project, showing what they've done throughout the year, why they were doing it, and how they were going to get the help at the end. So really, really amazing what they did as well. I was really inspired by that too. And I should mention, a couple of years ago, I think it might have been Lucy's year of Ocean Youth, we actually donated money to someone's idea. Jasper won that year, and his idea was a new filtration tool that was part of every washing machine sold in Australia that would stop the cotton and polyester fragments going through our drains and out into the ocean, because it turns out that that's actually a really big issue out there on top of nurdles and plastic, is material floating out there in the ocean coming from us washing our clothes. So we actually put money towards that. It never came to anything, but he wanted to change legislation so every single washing machine in Australia had to have this, reducing the problem at the source. It was a great idea, great initiative. And he didn't actually create it, but he told us who he would talk to, how he would do it. And he was a bit of an engineering sort, so he designed it as well. But it was really, really cool. All right, how to present. Now, this might intimidate a few of you, but remember, we're all friends here and we're all online. So if worst comes to worst, you can wear a mask if you want. We won't even know. So this depends on you and your project. And again, remember, your project, you are your brand. So if you're wanting to talk about reducing plastics, maybe don't laminate everything that you're using and use plastics. Or maybe don't walk in with a plastic water bottle if you're talking about creating, you know, a sustainable drink bottle. So think about what you're doing while you do it. And that's the same as when I was saying I've been making cookies. I had to think about, all right, if I'm selling them, I can't put them in plastic because that reduces everything that I stand for. So I had to source eco-friendly recyclable plastic to place them in. And it cost me a little bit more, but I believed in what I was doing. So think about you and your project. Again, if it's a music video, you're probably not going to stand here and just talk to us. You're going to play the music video. Think about how our guest speakers have presented. Justine showed us some of her things from Two in the Sun. People have shared PowerPoint presentations. People have, what else have they done apart from PowerPoint presentations? Movies and videos. Steve and Riley, you know, showed us some of their amazing footage that they had as well. So think about ways you can make this more enjoyable for the audience as well, because if you catch someone's attention, that might be enough to trigger them to want to help you. This is your chance to develop public and scientific communication skills. This is your opportunity, guys, to do as much or as little as you want. As we said, you're going to get more out of it. So if you're like, I hate public speaking, but I want to tick it off my list, great opportunity. And it's probably a good time for me to tell you guys that I hated public speaking. When I went to university, I didn't turn up on the day I had to do my public speaking in my zoology degree. I couldn't get out of bed. I was so scared. And now it's my job, purely because I started working as a ranger at Philippine Nature Parks and I started talking to people. And the more you do it, the more you get better at it, whether it's talking to an industry professional, and that, you know, you guys have been talking to us, you know, that's getting your skills up straight away. You've been asking questions of our guest presenters. You're getting there. So this is your chance to develop that further, whether it's ringing council offices or it's dropping into fish and chip shops and asking if they'll put a petition on their front desk or get rid of plastic knives and forks and replace them with bamboo ones, or if it's public speaking for this Zoom as well. Your pitch can be up to 10 minutes long. Like I said, you're not going to lose points or anything. We're not rating you guys if it goes for 11 minutes or it goes for 4. But let's not go for 25, 30 minutes each, and let's try and go a bit longer than 1 or 2 minutes so we can really get an idea of the passion that you have. Whether you fill it up with facts and figures at one side so it goes a bit longer, that's fine. We all love facts and figures here. We're all loving the ocean. So we love to hear about what's going on out there. Ways to present, we mentioned this earlier. You can do a movie, you can do a PowerPoint, but what you do need to remember is that when we've been screen sharing videos through Zoom, they've really struggled to work. So if you're going to use a video, we want you to sort of put the link up or something so that we can open it on our own laptops and phones and watch it. And last year we did have a girl who literally presented by getting us to put the link into our phone. She didn't talk in front of us. She got us to put it into our phones and watch her video all at the same time. So we're all sitting in the same room watching it on our phones. And it still works really, really well, and it works really well in this space. You may want to develop a website. If you've got skills like that, amazing. We had girls last year who worked together to develop a 12-month challenge. So every month they had to do a challenge that helped the ocean somehow, whether it was walking like 20,000 steps for sea turtle raising awareness, or it was, I need to do a bake-off for Threatened Species Day. I need to do this. And so they went on the website and you signed up for each of these challenges on their website, and it became a community of people doing this challenge. It was really cool. So there's websites, you can do a virtual tour. Maybe you're going to make a diorama. You can show us it. I don't mind. Maybe you've developed a whole lot of pots painted in pictures of ocean animals. You can show us those pots and then tell us about the process behind you. If it's a drink bottle, you can drink out of it. Amazing. We'll watch that. Anything you want to do that we can all visually see or hear on these Zoom calls is amazing. All right, T. Oh.
Screen sharing tips. Now, I realize a lot of you may not have used Zoom as a host like Peter and I have been doing. I'm sharing my screen right now, so I just thought I'd do the brief steps on how to share a screen and what that will look like on your screen. So that's why we're going to get you to log on 30 minutes early on the actual pitch night, just to make sure you know how to share your screen, and then turn it off again, just so we don't have any problems like we did with Nick the other week when we had a site-wide Zoom. So first step, you'll see a picture of this. When I was taking this screenshot, Peter and I were pulling some pretty funny faces, so ignore that. But you should see the screen pretty much how you would see it normally on a laptop. And when you are made a co-host or a host, down the bottom you'll see this little screen share button that I've circled. So once you click on that, this will pop up, and this shows all your screens that are open at that point. If you've got a PowerPoint, or if you've got a mostly a PowerPoint, right? Because if we're doing videos, we're doing links. But you click on that picture, and then it'll show what you're seeing now on my screen, which is my PowerPoint. And then to turn it off, right up the top of your screen, you'll see a little drop-down button that says you are screen sharing, and you press that stop share button, and you'll go back to your normal screen.
I can also stop you sharing. Sorry, I just noticed that. No one tell you that.
As host, Peter and I can stop you sharing. So if you are struggling to find that button and you're having a little freak out, let us know. We can stop it for you as well.
But we can run you through this, guys, and also you can Google it as well. But if you ever stuck, you can go back and watch this video and be able to see. We just thought that was a really important tip that we struggled with.
Yeah. We were trying to do it last night, and I realized that I didn't know how to share a screen, so we thought we'd include it.
Yeah, exactly. So T and I are going to run through a couple of inspirations from past pictures. I mentioned a few others. Jasper with his washing machine, you know, stopping the material going, and that was actually huge. I forgot about that completely. It was amazing. You know, the girls with their website, Student Voice Network from Lucy, Nicola doing her amazing online website that she's building now at the moment. But here's a couple of other ones we haven't mentioned to you guys that we've seen in the past. So first one I'll go through, and then Tiana can go through the others. This is Sharky, everyone. Yes, his name was Sharky. His name is Liam Sharky, and he was one of our ambassadors last year in Nicola's year. Now, Sharky was really motivated from the start. He was a huge reptile guy, if I remember back properly, Tiana.
He had so many animals.
He had so many animals. He was so keen, and he did get a bunch of guys and girls around him from Ocean Youth that maybe weren't as inspired, and because of him, they became more inspired. They became like a crew of 5, and they kind of did nothing without each other, but he kind of got them on his bandwagon, which was amazing. But he did his pitch alone. He didn't do it with anyone else. And his pitch was peel back the packaging. So this was last year, just before all this kind of hit the media, where, you know, when you go into Coles and Woolworths and you have a packet of bananas wrapped in plastic, or you get like tomatoes that are on a tray wrapped in plastic, and there's just no need for it. And it makes your head explode when you see it, if you're one of us. Well, he started a petition on change.org to get that packaging removed. And as you can see, he got 3,500 signatures. Did he end up reaching 5,000 T?
No, I don't think he did. He didn't continue with this after Ocean Youth, because by that stage, the supermarkets had started to take into effect. It created a media storm anyway, but we think Sharky was a little bit responsible for that.
For sure. And we got our media and PR team to support him as well when we were at Sea Life Melbourne, and we hope that that sort of started that push towards the supermarkets reducing their plastic. But not only this, he also wrote to the supermarkets and got a meeting with one of the guys from Coles, I think, to talk about this. And he got a face-to-face sit down with them, just voicing his opinion and giving them those facts we were mentioning. When you go somewhere and you go, I want this to happen, and they go, why? He had the answers. He had the answers as to why we needed to reduce that packaging on those things. And it was just because it was totally irrelevant and irrational. But it was an amazing pitch. And he didn't, like we said, didn't keep going on with it because it's already happening. But he was ahead of that curve. And it was just, yeah, really, really inspiring at the time.
So this is basically to show you that you don't need a giant project. His mum did help him out with this, because his mum was absolutely lovely and she was very passionate about it as well. But they created a logo as well with it.
Oh, yeah.
Part of his pitch was that logo for Peel Back the Packaging, which you can't really see it in the small screenshot, but it was really cute. And yeah, he also had a Facebook page, but the main point of his project was a petition to change this. Now, this is Imogen. We loved Imogen's idea. It was a product. It is a sea turtle colouring in calendar. And as Peter was mentioning earlier, it had a few little tasks to complete each month. Like, for example, Plastic Free July would be incorporated into the calendar. And so as you go throughout your calendar throughout the year, you have little challenges to do that ultimately helps the environment. Now, if I remember right, Imogen did receive a bit of funding for this. I don't think she took it ahead, but you can see in the photo she did print out these calendars. The artwork was not hers, so she was telling us that if she was to continue doing it in the future, she would get people to draw the artwork for her, so it's not copyrighted, so it's unique. But she had this product as an example. What's the word, Peter? As a
what for? She was raising money.
No, like it was an example product. It was a.
Oh yeah, it was a prototype.
Prototype. Thank you.
Sorry.
Yeah, so it was a prototype. It wasn't the full complete product. It didn't have her own artwork, but this is what she would have done if she had continued on earlier. So a simple colouring in calendar that was fantastic. The detail that she put into the actual calendar and the events, she did all that. It was just the pictures that she said that she would have to change if she was going to go ahead with it.
So she also thought about, guys, I guess, like licensing and branding as well. Like we said to her, you can't just copy someone else's picture from the internet and put it into your calendar without their permission. So she ended up getting, a friend to draw it, I think. And the fact that people could colour it in meant that it was a little bit different as well and really unique, and mindfulness came into it. So maybe you want to think about that, the ocean and mindfulness, a podcast, ocean sounds, things like that. But she was our youngest Ocean Youth participant last year. I think she was only 13, and she was so not confident. She had this idea and she had absolutely no idea how to get there. And she would just email us and see us every Ocean Youth and talk to us about it. And look what she ended up coming up with in the end, with very little help from us. And it was just amazing. And again, she really worked on that branding and that logo and thinking about where she wanted the funds to go after she covered all her costs as well. So thinking about that side of it too, like, am I allowed to use this image? If it's for educational purposes, you can use any image. But if it's for your own branding, you either have to ask someone for permission or you have to get your own photos and your own images done. Next, please. Oh, Brooke.
Do you want to talk about Brooke?
Oh, why not? You're probably better at it, but I'll mention it. So Brooke, last year, probably the shyest person we've ever had in Ocean Youth. Brooke did not want to speak in front of anyone. Brooke didn't want to, do much at all, but Brooke is an amazing artist. And as you can see, that is her artwork in front of her there. And what Brooke did was paint this artwork over a period of a few weeks. And as her pitch, she filmed a, what's the word? Time-lapse video of her painting this painting. And that was her pitch. She got us all to get on our phones, open a link and watch for 2 minutes the time lapse of her painting this painting. Then she walks up the front with it and goes, this is it. And I'm auctioning it off to raise money for, I can't remember who, but I'm auctioning it off to raise money for whoever it was. And one dad in the audience straight away was like, I'll pay $300 for it. And we were just like, what? This is amazing. So here's a girl who used her skills to develop something that she was passionate about that was going to help what she was passionate about. So thinking about the what, the why, and the how. And she also went about thinking about how she could present it in a way that wouldn't make her uncomfortable. And I have never been so involved and intrigued in something in my life. And I wasn't very close with Brooke over the year, to be honest. I didn't see much of her because I didn't get to do many of our face-to-faces. And by the end of it, just amazing what she did. And this beautiful piece of artwork that raised awareness of marine plastics in our ocean, just sensational. And I think she ended up putting it out on social media and things as well. So there's another way of thinking about what you could do.
Yeah, her video also did have a little bit of a voiceover talking about plastic pollution and the impacts on turtles. And the video ended about halfway through her painting. So we never saw the complete painting.
Oh, yes, that was it.
And that's why the big reveal was just so mind-blowing. As she was painting, we're like, oh yeah, this is good. This looks nice. And then that reveal, we were just, it was incredible. I feel like that was one of the standout projects of the Pitch Fest, not because how complex it was. Of course, Nicola was one of our high achievers with last year's, but Brooke, just because her project was so impactful, it really stuck in our heads. It's one of the projects that I think of first when I think about Ocean Youth last year.
Yeah, it was really amazing. And again, she used her strengths and took away her weaknesses. But again, if it's something you want to grow in, presenting, Brooke shied away from it, but you could use this opportunity to your advantage and really grow in that area as well. So yeah, really proud of those three. And like I said, they're ones that we hadn't really spoken about that were just as impactful for us and really stuck with us throughout the year as well. And something that actually worked. I'm pretty sure she did auction it off and give money to whatever that charity was. And boom, she was done with it. She's now back at school, but she made a change and she knows that she can now do that into the future if she wants to. So yeah, these are just a couple of examples, guys. Now, a few people were asking, all right, cool. Are you going to be around to help us? Are we going to be around, Tiana?
Yes, we are. So as we said, Pitch Fest will be on October 30th. If you do have a question between now and then about your project, send us an email. We can respond to emails. We're still jobless as of right now, but even with hopefully soon, we'll be able to respond to emails and help you out. If you've got more of a complex question rather than just a, hey, do you have any resource for where I can get recycled plastic? If it's more like, hey, I don't know how to do this and I want to do this, but this is happening this way, we can schedule a Zoom meeting. So Peter and I have decided that on Saturday the 3rd of October and Saturday the 17th of October, so 4 weeks and 2 weeks before the Pitch Fest, between 10:30 and 3:30, we'll be available on Zoom to have a chat. However, if you don't book a time, we're not jumping on. So if you message us the day before and say, hey, I wanted to Zoom tomorrow, we might have plans. So if you do want to schedule a Zoom to help with your projects, please let us know, like a week before, for example, and we'll carve out that time in between those times to help you out. It might be 10 minutes you need, it might be half an hour that you need. We are here to help you, but just be a little bit reasonable. We are humans. We do have families that we need to commit to. So please.
And dogs.
And dogs. So please don't give us any last minute email saying you want to Zoom. Make sure they're between those times on those dates, and let us know a week beforehand or 5 days beforehand that you want to do that.
Yeah, perfect.
So just email us and let us know you want to schedule a Zoom. We will send out an RSVP page link and more information about the Pitch Fest so that you can invite your friends and family to it. As Peter said, we can have up to 100 people. We might have a couple of guests that you've met throughout the year who want to come and see what you've been working on. And of course, Claudette from Ocean Future Fund, the head of Ocean Youth pretty much, that you may have met if you came to the webinar 2 weeks ago. She'll be there. Generally, she puts out grants to projects that she finds interesting if there's anyone who wants to take their project further. So that's also something to think about if you are thinking that you might want to take your project further, but funding's an issue. Claudette will be on the lookout for interesting projects. So keep that in mind as well.
Definitely. And if you guys get stuck and you send us an email, I don't know, on a Wednesday that goes, oh my gosh, I'm so stuck, I don't know what to do. There's nothing stopping us if we have time to organize a Zoom call with you the next day. So just remember that email address is permanently open. We'll be checking it every day. So it might take us 12 hours to get back to you, but every day we will check that email address. So we'll be able to get back to you about your pitches. And it might be that you guys just want a phone call, in which case we can work that out as well to help support you. And like we said, it has to be as big or as little as you want it to be. Maybe you want it to be little now and big later. It doesn't matter. Maybe you just want it to be a one-off. Maybe you want to work with, Tangaroa Blue and do a cleanup in your area just once in summer when you can finally leave your house. Whatever it is, we are here to support you. We just want to see some of the amazing things we've heard about and some of the amazing things you guys have asked and come up with come to life. And this is a step for you guys in this industry, an amazing opportunity to get those creative juices thinking and working in your brain and those ideas coming out. So now's a chance to ask any questions you guys have. Sorry, we've gone about 10 minutes over what I thought we would today. But has anyone got any questions right now? And remember, this is a safe space. It's all good. We're all here to help each other. There's no copying. It doesn't matter if two people have the same pitch. It doesn't matter if you work together. We're all a community here. So yes, Elliot, you can chat to us whenever, like you asked down there, from here till Pitch Fest. And we will be in touch with you guys before then with the proper invitation so you can let your family and friends know as well. But we're just really excited to see what you come up with. And remember, this is just a part of the program. It's not the be all or end all. We are going to do our fun activities. We have met some amazing people. It's all part of it. This is not the end product. It's not like the final exams. It's just a bit of fun. And really, if you think about it, it's in the middle this year. It's not at the end, because at some point we all need to get back together and do some fun stuff anyway, whether it's this year or next year. So it doesn't look like there's any questions, which is good. We're probably all a bit brain dead this morning after all those chats, but we are here for you guys on that email address anytime you need us. So sit back, relax for a few days, maybe take a day next week to sit down for half an hour and have a think of some things, or go fish shopping. Yep, saw that.
Jumped in and said, is there any way to get in contact with others in Ocean Youth this year, see if we share a common interest? The Facebook page. Yeah, so that will probably be the best. Just chuck in there, say, hey, I've got an idea about ocean litter focused on putting bins on the beach kind of thing. And yeah, if someone else is interested and wants to join in, feel free to to connect through that Facebook page. That's what it's there for, not just for me and Peter to share cool stories, but you're welcome to share things on there as well. Taryn, if you want to share some videos that you've done that you think others might be interested in, share that. Or Tess, if you want to share something you've been doing at school, for example, if you have an environmental assignment at school that you want to share, feel free to share on that Facebook page. It's there for you to connect, not just for us to update you.
And this is a good chance to start using it, guys. Let's start using it while we are all getting these brain juices going. Let's share some things we see and try and get that going on, all right? And I guess the other thing I wanted to mention too, just before we head off, is that if your school is already doing something you are part of, maybe you are part of the green team or the eco whatever amazingness that schools have these days and didn't have when I was growing up, I'm old, that might be your project. How you implemented it, what you already did, you know, it might already be in place, and it might be something someone else can then take on board next year at their own school and make a change just because they've seen it happen already. So we'll try and get the Facebook going. Tiana, are you right to answer that message that just came through? Did you see that? Maybe it's to me. But anyone got any other questions before we finish up? No? All right, cool.
Email us if you do think of some after this. Peter and I will probably be logging out for the day though, so you might not get a reply until maybe Monday. Give us a bit of a break, but yeah, we will get back to any questions that you have if you think of any.
All right, perfect. So any ideas you have that maybe you're really stuck on as well, guys, like you've already started and you got what? Send us an email with the outline. Any questions you have, like who do I get in contact with? Who do you think would be good? What do you think I do next? Send them, and then the next 2 days, Tiana and I will get you kick-started on your project. Woohoo! Taryn's got to go fish shopping. Everyone else is going to go back and chillax for the day. And I hope you enjoyed it, guys, and we will see you face-to-face real soon. I'll send you an email with the link for this as well. Bye, everyone.